Exodus chapter 25. Why am I doing Exodus chapter 25 at the end of Thanksgiving Day? Good. There's a good answer for this. It's a perfect answer. I want you to think about this for a second. We've got a whole bunch of people at this very moment, because it's almost 9 o'clock at night. They're already shopping at the stores. They have barely gotten away from their Thanksgiving table, and now they're shopping at the stores. It's all going to be about Black Friday, which actually is now starting on Thursday. What's God say about all this? Hang on to your hats. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, now keep in mind, Moses is up on the mountain. We've already covered this between chapters 21 through 24, okay? Moses on top of Mount Sinai. He's talking to God. He's all by himself. It's just Moses and God. God likes it like that. He likes a little one-on-one. He says, speak to the children of Israel, that they bring me an offering. From everyone who gives it willingly with his heart, you shall take my offering. Gives it willingly. How many times have you seen these people at church? Oh, I see this myself. They'll dig into their wallets, and they'll go, oh man, I really have to give something to this minister, and they toss whatever it is in the offering plate, and they don't pray over it or nothing. You know what? God does that. Well, that's not really mine. You didn't really give it to me, so that's not mine. And I'm not blessing it either. Shove you. Let me tell you something. When you give a tithe, no matter how much you give, you better pray over it. Always pray over a tithe before you give it. You actually hold the money in your hands and you pray over it before you give it. And you tell God, this money is for you to use. Otherwise, he won't bless it. And you know what God does to you after that? If he doesn't bless that money, and you haven't ever given him any money that he can bless, he just starts making you poorer and poorer until you will do what he wants. You see, the instruction isn't just give the tithe. That's wrong. It's give and pray over the tithe. If you don't pray over it, you might as well not even give it, because God won't accept it. Well, he'll take the money, all right. He'll still put a curse on you. Isn't that nice? You'll still have a financial curse, even though you threw the money in the offering plate, because you threw it grudgingly. Ministers often forget to tell you that one. You don't give it willingly, God doesn't take it. And the financial curse will continue. The only way you can lift the financial curse off your shoulders is to give the money willingly. To say, hey, I want to give you the money. You know what the problem was with Ananias and Sapphira in the book of Acts? It wasn't that they didn't give all their tithes. That was bad enough. But they lied about it. They were trying to get out of it. That's what got them killed. It wasn't just not giving the tithe that was the problem, because God would have just given a financial curse. They actually lied about it. They lied about it to people of God. God doesn't approve of that. So if you don't pray over your tithe, when you give your tithe, you might as well not give it at all. Because it says right here, speak to the children of Israel that they bring me an offering from everyone who gives it willingly. If they don't give it willingly, don't take it. That's what he was telling the ministers. Don't take the offering if they don't give it to you willingly. From everyone who gives it willingly with his heart, you shall take my offering. Even if they say they're willingly giving it to you, if it's not in their heart, you can look in their eyes and you can tell whether they're giving it willingly or not. If they're not giving it willingly, don't take the offering. And this is the offering which you shall take from them: gold, silver, bronze, Blue, purple, and scarlet thread. Okay. Well, you know what blue looks like. You know what purple looks like. Scarlet is a red. Okay. Fine linen and goat's hair. Okay. Well, most people know what a goat looks like. Okay. Ram skins dyed red. What are ram skins? Well, rams are adult male sheep. I know you hear the thing ram truck, but if you really look at a male sheep with the big horns, that's a ram. Female sheep are known as ewes, or ewe, okay? And male sheep are known as rams. Okay. Badger skins. What's a badger? Badgers are the animals with those funky looking tails that actually build dams. Okay. And acacia wood. What's acacia wood? Well, it's a special type of tree that grows in tropical environments. Okay. And they have various shades. Some look a little bit more reddish, some of them look a little more brown. The wood does. Okay, the wood looks a little more reddish or a little more brown. But the thing is, it's a durable wood. It's a durable wood. It's a lustrous wood. Okay. In other words, it looks great and it's sturdy. That's why God said acacia wood. You're going to find out more about this a little later on. So God didn't say just pick up any wood. He didn't say, hey, go pick up a bunch of 2x4s. He said get the acacia wood. That stuff's durable. Okay. Oil for the light and spices for the anointing oil and for the sweet incense. Okay. You know how you have those burning candle incense? Okay, well, they had stuff like that back then too. Onyx stones. Now, onyx stones are usually black. Okay, but not always black. Sometimes they have a little bit of white to them. Sometimes they're multi-striped. Okay, but in this case, I think they're pretty much referring to the black stones. Okay. And stones to be set in the ephod and in the breastplate. I'm going to let you go ahead and look up the linen ephod. Okay? Because you really need to see it for yourself. And let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them. Okay, so now they're going to make, God's going to tell them how to make a sanctuary for them. According to all that I show you, that is the pattern of the tabernacle and the pattern of all its furnishings, just so you shall make it. And they shall make an ark of acacia wood. You know, the famous Ark of the Covenant, it was made of acacia wood. They just take a bunch of gold and just dump it all over the place and say, hey, there's your Ark of the Covenant. It was made of acacia wood. That thing was very sturdy. So people say, well, that thing probably doesn't exist today. Well, a 2x4 probably wouldn't exist today. But acacia wood, different story. Might still exist. Probably still exists. Because God appointed that wood, He made it a sturdy wood to make sure it still existed. Okay? 2.5 cubits shall be its length. What's a cubit? Well, there are short cubits and long cubits. According to many Bible scholars, this was the long cubit that was being used. Now, what's a long cubit today in today's terms? That would be something between 19 and 20 inches in length. So can you imagine a 40-inch box? Okay? Box that's 40 inches long. Now, to kind of give you an idea, 12 inches is a foot. Okay? So now you've got a box that's nearly 4 feet long. Okay? and a cubit and a half in its width. Now, a cubit and a half, you got a cubit, which is 20 inches. Now you got another 30. You got now 30 inches in length. Okay, so now you're talking little over 2 feet wide. So now you got a box that's almost 4 feet long and a little over 2 feet wide. That's a big box. And you shall overlay it with pure gold. Okay, so what they were doing was once they built the box, they poured gold all over it. That's an overlay. And shall make on it a molding of gold all around. You shall cast 4 rings of gold for it. Now the rings that were attached to the box were gold. Okay? And put them in its 4 corners. 2 rings shall be on one side and 2 rings on the other side. And you shall make poles of acacia wood. Now the thing is, even though acacia wood lasts a long time, the acacia wood that was encased in that gold probably still exists today, but those poles, probably not. All wood eventually rots. Acacia wood just takes a lot longer. You shall put the poles into the rings on the sides of the ark, that the ark may be carried by them. The poles shall be in the rings of the ark, they shall not be taken from it. And you shall put into the ark the testimony which I will give you. In other words, remember those tablets? Those are going to be put in the ark. You shall make a mercy seat of pure gold. So, they had a gold figurine on the top of the ark of the covenant. 2.5 cubits shall be its length, and 1.5 cubits its width. Okay. And you shall make 2 cherubim of gold. Of hammered work you shall make them at the 2 ends of the mercy seat. Now cherubim are a special type of angel. Okay, and you can look this up for yourself. And I'm going to conclude it right there, because this thing goes into a lot of detail. But now you've got this Ark of the Covenant. It's nearly 4 foot long. It's a little over 2 feet wide. It's made of acacia wood, which is one of the sturdiest woods in the world. It's been overlaid in gold, so it's going to be well preserved. And then gold rings are attached to this thing so that the acacia poles can be put through them. It was quite a little masterpiece. So what's the point of all this? How does this all tie into Thanksgiving? We are so unwilling to put money in an offering plate, but we are willing to practically kill ourselves to buy cheap Christmas presents. Oh, sure, the items aren't cheap, but they've got them discounted so much that you don't spend a whole lot of money to get them. That makes you a cheapskate. Let me tell you something. God is your source of money. If you really believe that, you don't have to go out on Black Friday and get all those presents. And remember this. When you pay so little money, you're actually sending a message to the people who manufactured those goodies. You're saying they're not worth the time of day. It's one thing to get a good deal. It's another thing to be a cheapskate. Okay? You want to get a good price on things, but you don't want to get it so unbelievably cheap that you're sending the signal that you're a cheapskate. That's the difference. Being economically sound is blessed by God. Being a cheapskate is not. Because what you're doing is you're, in essence, sending the message that God can't provide for your needs. And that's a message you don't want to send to anybody. What, God can't meet your financial needs? Give me a break. Get real. We don't want the world thinking that God is broke. God is a good economist, but he's not broke. So if you're standing there in a dollar store arguing about the price of a particular item, you really don't know God. That's the way it is. Listen, God gave his people so much gold when they left Egypt that they had enough to make it in that Ark of the Covenant. Wow. If he can provide enough gold and acacia wood, and let me tell you something, acacia wood is not cheap. Because it's real durable, it's not cheap. If he can provide enough acacia wood and gold to make a Ark of the Covenant, think what he can do for you. So the next time you reach into your wallet and you decide that you're going to give to the Lord, don't stand there and grudgingly give. You pray over it, you say, here it is, and be done with it. Now I know there are ministers who say, well, you have to give 10%. Even if you decided to go by that route. Oh, I have to give my 10%. Let me tell you something. If you give 10%, God can give you 110. Don't think he can't. But you have to do it right. Just tossing the offering plate is not enough. You have to pray over it before you put it in the offering plate. And you have to pray over it. Just if the reverend prays over it, it doesn't do any good. You have to do it because it has to come from your heart. That's what the reverends are not telling you. Yeah. They're not telling you that when you're doing this offering plate stuff, you have to do it right. So you think about that the next time there's a Black Friday. Think to yourself, oh man, I gotta kill myself. Let me tell you something. It is not worth destroying your car, destroying your health, just to get a cheap Christmas present for your friends. I don't want to look cheap. So now you don't look cheap, but you're actually telling the manufacturers that you are cheap. That God doesn't have enough to supply your needs. Is that what you wanted? Is that the message you want to deliver to those manufacturers? You want to be a good economist, that's true. You don't want to be a cheapskate. What you sow, ye shall reap. And that's the truth. All right. I will tell you more in a future video, so stay tuned.